In 1970, amid the chaos of Vietnam, a helicopter so fast, so heavily armed, and so outlandish in shape that it left Vietnamese pilots stunned roared into existence: the American S-67 Blackhawk. While the Army's war-weary Hueys struggled against ambushes, Sikorsky built this high-speed prototype in just 9 months, under budget, packing technology that had never flown in combat. It shattered speed records, redefined what a gunship could do, and briefly looked set to transform the battlefield overnight. But if it was that good, why did this breakthrough vanish after a single breathtaking debut? The answer begins with a combat need the Army couldn't ignore, and the bold gamble that Sikorsky placed on its own future. The war in Vietnam exposed the limits of America's workhorse helicopters. UH-1 Hueys, designed for troop transport and medevac, found themselves flying straight into machine gun nests and anti-aircraft fire. Crews reported mounting losses as enemy gunners learned to target slow, lightly armored choppers hovering over landing zones. By 1964, the Army's combat reports painted a grim picture. Too many helicopters shot down, too many missions ending in disaster. The Army needed something faster, tougher, and deadlier. A machine built not just to survive, but to dominate. That year, the Advanced Aerial Fire Support System, or AAFSS, request for proposals landed on the desks of America's top aerospace firms. The requirements were demanding: a helicopter capable of at least 200 miles per hour, armored to protect its crew, and armed to strike tanks and fortified positions from a distance. The Army wanted a gunship that could outrun ambushes, support ground troops, and turn the tables on Soviet-supplied armor moving through the jungle. Early contenders rushed to respond, but the challenge was steep. The AAFSS would not settle for incremental upgrades. It called for a radical leap, a helicopter that could weave through enemy fire, unleash heavy weapons, and change the course of the ground war. In 1965, the Lockheed AH-56 Cheyenne was declared the winner, but the Army's hunger for a truly game-changing attack helicopter was far from satisfied. Inside Sikorsky's Connecticut headquarters, the pressure was mounting. The Army's contracts had gone elsewhere, and the company's leadership faced a crossroads. In January 1970, John McKenna, executive vice president, made a decision that would define Sikorsky's future. Without waiting for government funding, he authorized the S-67 Blackhawk as a private venture, a gamble that put millions of corporate dollars on the line. The project would run on a shoestring, capped at $3 million, with every department expected to deliver at breakneck speed. Engineers and technicians worked side by side, often late into the night, stripping away red tape and formalities. The team reused proven components from earlier Sikorsky helicopters, focusing their efforts on a new, narrow airframe and advanced flight controls. Fabrication began in February, just weeks after the official green light. In less than 7 months, the first and only S-67 prototype rolled out of the Stratford plant, ready for its maiden flight. When the final bills were tallied, the project had come in about $100,000 under budget, a rare feat in military aviation. For McKenna and his crew, this was more than a technical achievement. It was proof that, with the right leadership and a willingness to take risks, a small team could outpace the giants and deliver something extraordinary. The S-67 was now real, and it was about to challenge everything the Army thought it knew about helicopter warfare. The S-67 Blackhawk's power began with its engines, 2 General Electric T-58 GE5 turbines, each delivering 1,500 horsepower. These were proven workhorses, borrowed from Sikorsky's successful S-61 S-61, but tuned for even greater demands. The design team paired these engines with a 5-bladed main rotor stretching 62 feet across, and introduced a breakthrough: swept-back blade tips. By angling the outer sections of each blade, Sikorsky's engineers delayed the onset of compressibility effects, letting the rotor tips safely approach Mach 0.9. This was territory no operational helicopter had reached before. The airframe itself was a study in minimalism and purpose. The fuselage measured just 3 feet 10 inches wide, barely enough for the tandem cockpit. This narrow profile reduced drag and made the helicopter harder to hit, while also giving pilots a clear, unobstructed view. Behind the cockpit, A compact compartment allowed for extra gear or even quick troop transport. The vertical fin, unusually large for its era, provided directional stability and began to offload the tail rotor at speeds above 46 miles per hour. This meant less power wasted and more available for forward flight. One of the most striking features was the wing-mounted air brakes. Each detachable wing carried 3 speed brakes, able to deploy in under 3 seconds. These surfaces doubled the S-67's deceleration capability and allowed for rapid, fighter-like changes in direction, a first for a helicopter. All these elements combined to give the Blackhawk unmatched agility and speed, setting the stage for the records it would soon break. On August 20, 1970, the S-67 Blackhawk lifted off for its first flight. At the controls was Kurt Cannon, Sikorsky's chief test pilot, whose reputation for pushing prototypes to their limit was well known among engineers and Army observers alike. Right out of the gate, the S-67 showed a level of performance that caught everyone off guard. Its sleek frame and powerful twin turbines responded instantly to Cannon's inputs, slicing through the air with a speed and agility that seemed almost impossible for a helicopter of its size. In December of that same year, Cannon and co-pilot Stu Craig set out to prove just how far the S-67 could go. Over a measured 1.86-mile course, they averaged 216.8 miles per hour, a record for a pure-rotor helicopter that left even seasoned Army evaluators shaking their heads. The aircraft's swept-back blades, stabilator, and wing-mounted air brakes allowed for aggressive maneuvers, including tight turns and rapid deceleration. In Army test logs, Cannon reported pulling up to 3G in flight, a figure unheard of for attack helicopters at the time. When the Army brought the S-67 to Edwards Air Force Base for evaluation in July 1972, the results were remarkable. Across a demanding schedule of maneuvers, the prototype racked up only 39 minor discrepancies, an astonishingly low number for a brand new aircraft. Army pilots described the handling as crisp and responsive, noting that the S-67 could bank, dive, and recover with the ease of a fighter. For a brief moment, it looked as if Sikorsky's gamble had paid off in full. The Blackhawk was at its zenith, and Cannon's name became synonymous with the kind of daring that could turn a prototype into a legend. Army leadership, wary after the Cheyenne's troubled history, began to question whether any off-the-shelf prototype could truly deliver the next leap in battlefield dominance. In 1972, both the Sikorsky S-67 and Bell 309 King Cobra faced off in a demanding fly-off at Edwards Air Force Base. The S-67's speed and flexibility impressed evaluators, while the King Cobra's maintenance simplicity drew attention from logistics officers. Yet neither machine was selected for production. By 1973, the Army had launched the Advanced Attack Helicopter program, seeking a purpose-built platform with cutting-edge sensors, armor, and anti-tank firepower. Internal memos from the period reveal a growing preference for a clean sheet design over rapid adoption of existing prototypes. As procurement priorities shifted, momentum behind the S-67 stalled, leaving Sikorsky's team watching as the competition reset once again. On September 1, 1974, the S-67 Blackhawk met its end at RAF Woodbridge during a demonstration for the Farnborough Air Show. Test pilots Kurt Cannon and Stu Craig attempted a low-level roll, a maneuver that left no margin for recovery. The helicopter clipped the ground and burst into flames. Craig died instantly, while Cannon succumbed to his injuries days later. The accident investigation found no fault with the machine itself. The roll had simply been attempted too low. With the only prototype lost, Sikorsky's hopes for the S-67 vanished overnight. Yet the story did not end there. Just 2 years later, Sikorsky's experience fed directly into the UTTAS competition, leading to the YUH-60A. By 1979, the UH-60 Blackhawk entered service, carrying forward the lessons, the technology, and the spirit of its fallen predecessor. While the S-67 never entered service, its innovations, like swept rotor tips and modular weapon systems, directly shaped the UH-60 Blackhawk, which entered Army service in 1979 and remains in use worldwide. The S-67's legacy is clear: Breakthrough ideas can outlast even the most promising machines.